Welcome to the Wisdom Tribe. If you are hearing this message right now, it is no accident. It is a divine appointment. You have been drawn here by the Spirit of God Himself, because what you are about to receive belongs specifically to you. You are not here by chance. Heaven has already marked you as chosen, set apart, and destined for extraordinary greatness. God has written you a letter, not with ink and paper, but through the quiet whispers of your heart, the subtle nudges you've felt, and the moments of clarity that left you speechless. This letter is deeply personal, intimate, and overflowing with promises, encouragement, and divine direction. It is designed to awaken your spirit, strengthen your faith, and remind you that no matter what storms you've endured, no matter how heavy the burden, God has never forgotten you. And here's the truth. This letter is not just meant to comfort you, it is meant to ignite a shift in your life, to guide you into the next season that has already been prepared for you, to reveal the destiny God has carefully written for you from the beginning. It's time to listen, to receive, and to step into the fullness of what He has for you. Before we go any further, if your spirit is stirred by this message, type 7 in the comments right now. That number is not random. It represents divine completion, the sign that God is finishing the hidden work in your life and revealing the personal letter He has written for you. When you type it, you are declaring in faith that you are chosen, aligned, and ready to hear and respond to the destiny God has prepared specifically for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Wisdom Tribe, and make sure you watch this video all the way to the end. Rewatch it multiple times for more clarity, because each viewing will unlock deeper understanding of God's personal message and the elevation that is already on its way. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The personality of the letter. Child of God, this letter is uniquely yours. It is not meant for anyone else. It was written specifically for you. God knows your name. He knows your struggles, your dreams, and even the secret longings of your heart that you have never shared with anyone. He knows the battles you've faced, the tears you've cried in silence, the nights you spent wrestling in prayer, and the moments you felt unseen or forgotten. This letter is a reflection of His intimate knowledge of you, written with love, precision, and divine intention. The personality of this letter is unlike anything you have ever received. It is gentle yet undeniably powerful. It does not condemn or shame. Instead, it lifts, comforts, and strengthens. It speaks to the quiet corners of your soul that the world often overlooks. Every word carries the weight of heaven's wisdom and the warmth of God's love, reminding you that you are seen, that your life matters, and that your pain, your struggles, and your victories all have a divine purpose. This letter is alive. It does more than just reassure you. It awakens the dormant places of your heart. It challenges you to rise above fear, doubt, and despair. It encourages you to step into the calling that God has been preparing you for. Even when the path seems unclear or the world seems against you, God's letter mirrors your worth, illuminates your path, and whispers hope into areas of your life that feel broken or incomplete. It reminds you that even when it feels like the world has turned its back, heaven is aligned in your favor. This letter is full of promises, guidance, and prophetic insight. It reminds you that every tear you've shed, Every obstacle you've faced and every season of waiting has been carefully orchestrated to prepare you for the next level of your destiny. It assures you that your story is not random or meaningless. It is divinely written, divinely protected, and divinely destined. Child of God, take a moment to feel the presence behind this letter. It is not just words, it is a living message from the Creator of the universe. Its tone is tender yet urgent, loving yet intentional, and its purpose is to awaken faith, ignite your purpose, and remind you that your life is extraordinary. This letter is a personal invitation to trust, to obey, and to walk boldly into the calling that God has uniquely designed for you. Every time you reflect on this message, its depth will grow. You will begin to notice the nuances, the hidden layers, and the quiet instructions embedded in it. This letter is meant to be returned to, studied, and internalized. It is a companion for your journey, a guide for your heart, and a confirmation of your place in God's eternal plan. Child of God, this is more than a letter. It is a divine conversation, a personal declaration of love, and a blueprint for your destiny. Its personality is alive, intentional, and tailored specifically for you. Receive it, embrace it, listen to it, and allow it to awaken in you the confidence, courage, and clarity you need to step fully into the life God has been preparing for you. Chapter 2. The words you need to hear. Child of God, sometimes God's letter comes like a whisper in the quiet, other times like a roar that shakes your very spirit. But no matter how it arrives, it always carries exactly what you need to hear. It comes in the moments when your strength is almost gone, when your prayers feel unanswered, and when your faith feels fragile. And in that exact space, His words break through with power. I see you. I am with you. I have not abandoned you. These are not casual words. They are eternal truths spoken from the heart of the one who formed you before time began. When God speaks them, they don't just float into the air. They anchor in your soul. They heal your memories, calm your fears, and rebuild your hope. His words carry weight because they are written not on paper, but on the very fabric of your spirit. This letter speaks to the deepest layers of your life, the places no one else knows about. It acknowledges the silent battles you've been fighting, the questions that haunt you at night, and the moments you wondered if your existence even mattered. And with every word, it answers those questions. You matter. You are seen. You are chosen. You are deeply loved. When your mind tells you you've failed too many times, His letter replies, My grace is sufficient for you, and my strength is made perfect in your weakness. When your heart tells you you're not enough, His letter assures you, You are fearfully and wonderfully made. When life tells you you're alone, His letter comforts you. Even if the whole world turns away, I will remain by your side. Child of God, these words are not random. They are targeted. They are arrows of light piercing through the darkness that has tried to surround you. They dismantle the lies that the enemy has whispered in your ear for years. Lies that said you'd never rise, that your past defined you, that your mistakes disqualified you. God's words shatter those lies with the power of truth, and His truth never changes. People may change, seasons may shift, circumstances may rise and fall, but His truth stands eternal. That's why this letter will never lose its relevance. You could read it today, tomorrow, or 10 years from now, and it will still breathe life into you. It adapts to your journey because His Spirit knows exactly what you need in every chapter of your life. Think of it like rain falling on dry ground. When the soil is thirsty, the rain does not argue with it. It simply soaks in, reviving what was wilting. In the same way, these words soak into your weary heart. They revive your joy, restore your peace, and reignite your vision. They remind you that what is broken can be rebuilt, what is lost can be recovered, and what feels dead can live again. But child of God, you must listen closely. This letter isn't something to glance at once and then forget. These words are to be savored, meditated on, repeated until they become part of your heartbeat. Because the more you hear them, the more they transform you. The more you declare them, the more they silence every competing voice. The more you return to them, the more they grow inside of you until they become unshakable truth. You see, God does not just want you to hear these words. He wants you to carry them, to walk with them, to let them shape your decisions, your identity, and your outlook on life. His words are not temporary encouragement. They are eternal identity markers, reminding you who you are and whose you are. So, child of God, lean in. Let this letter become your reminder when the world is loud. Let it become your comfort when the night feels long. Let it become your proof that heaven has not forgotten you and that you were never fighting alone. These words are God's love letter to your soul, and they are meant to awaken you to the truth that your story is not finished. Your purpose is not canceled, and your destiny is still alive. Chapter 3. The promises of the letter. Child of God, lean in carefully because this is the part of the letter that carries weight beyond words. The promises written here are not ink on paper. They are etched into eternity, sealed by the breath of the Almighty. They are not guesses, not hopes, not mere possibilities. They are unshakable truths spoken by the God who holds time in His hands, the God who cannot lie, the God whose words never return void. These promises were written with you in mind. They are not borrowed from someone else's story. They carry your name, your journey, your exact fingerprints. God knew every valley you would walk, every betrayal you would face, every prayer you would cry out in desperation. And because He knew, He wrote promises tailored for every single chapter of your life. He promised protection, not just when you were strong, but especially when you were vulnerable. Not just from the enemies you could see, but from dangers you never knew existed. Look back for a moment. Think of the accidents that never happened. The sickness that didn't take you out, the betrayal that could have crushed you but instead elevated you. Those weren't coincidences, they were the fulfillment of His letter. His word declared long ago, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." Weapons may have been formed, but none of them carried the power to destroy you. Why? Because His promise wrapped around you like a shield. He promised provision. You may not have always had luxury, but you always had enough. Somehow the bills got paid. Somehow food found its way to your table. Somehow the door opened when you had no key. That somehow was God's hand. His promise whispers, "The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want." And He means it. You are not meant to live in the land of lack. You are destined to walk in the abundance of His goodness. Every empty season was only temporary, designed to teach you trust, not to trap you in poverty. He promised guidance. How many times have you been at a crossroads, unsure of what to do, and then, through a dream, through a word, Through a divine encounter, clarity came. That was no accident. His letter says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Child of God, even when you felt lost, heaven was still tracking your steps. Even when you took wrong turns, his promise rerouted you. You never truly lost your way because his spirit was always pulling you back toward destiny. He promised joy, and not the shallow kind that comes and goes with circumstance. No, this is joy that sits in the marrow of your bones. The joy that allows you to smile while tears still stain your face. The joy that refuses to be stolen no matter what life takes from you. His letter reminds you, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And if the morning hasn't come yet, it only means the story isn't finished. But hear this, child of God. His promises are more than blessings. They are strategies of destiny. Each one is like a tool placed in your hand. Protection positions you to move forward without fear. Provision ensures you lack nothing to complete your assignment. Guidance keeps your feet steady on the path. Joy sustains you so that you don't give up before the promise manifests. The enemy wants you to think God's promises are delayed or denied. But delay is not denial, it is preparation. Just because the seed has not sprouted yet doesn't mean it isn't growing underground. His promises operate in the realm of appointed time. Scripture says, though the vision tarries, wait for it. It will surely come. That means it cannot fail. It must arrive, because heaven already stamped it with your name. Picture it like this. Every promise is a love letter folded into the blueprint of your destiny. Some you've already opened and seen fulfilled. Others are still sealed, waiting for the right season. But none of them will be lost. Even generations after you will benefit from promises written over your life. That's how far-reaching and powerful God's word is. So, child of God, when the enemy whispers that you've been forgotten, open the letter again. Read it until your heart beats with faith. Speak it aloud until your atmosphere shifts. Chapter 4. The reassurance in the letter. Child of God, life has tested you in ways you never asked for. You've walked through storms you didn't see coming, carried burdens you didn't choose, and endured seasons that felt longer than you could handle. There have been nights where sleep wouldn't come because your mind was racing with what-ifs. There have been mornings where getting out of bed felt like lifting mountains. And through it all, you've whispered prayers, sometimes with bold faith, sometimes with trembling lips, and sometimes with nothing more than tears. But here is the truth this divine letter speaks over you. You have never been unseen. Heaven has had its eyes fixed on you from the beginning. You may have thought your cries went unheard, but not one word slipped past God's ears. You may have believed your efforts were wasted, but every seed you've sown in faith was recorded in eternity. You may have thought you were walking alone, but every step was guided by unseen hands. This letter is God's way of saying, I know. I know the nights you wrestled with doubt. I know the times you held your breath hoping for a miracle. I know the heaviness you carried when no one else noticed. And I know how much it took for you to keep going when you felt like giving up. Child of God, don't mistake silence for absence. Don't confuse delay with denial. And don't ever let pain convince you that my love has shifted. It hasn't, and it never will. When you thought you lost, heaven was securing a greater win for you. When people walked away, I was clearing the path for those who are truly meant to walk with you. When doors slammed shut, I was protecting you from what would have destroyed you. This letter reassures you that nothing you've lost was greater than what I am about to release. Even your failures haven't pushed me away. I don't see you through the lens of your mistakes. I see you through the blood of my Son. I don't define you by your lowest moments. I define you by the destiny I already wrote. This is why my reassurance is more than comfort. It's a reminder that your covenant with me is unshakable. Child of God, take this to heart. The delays are not wasted time. The detours are not wasted steps. The pain is not wasted suffering. Everything has been carefully woven into your story, working together for your good. The crushing has produced oil. The fire has refined gold. The pressure has revealed diamonds. What felt like breaking was really building. This reassurance is heaven saying, hold on, your story is still being written. You're in the middle of the process, not at the end. The chapters of pain are not the final chapters. The pages of disappointment are not the conclusion. The author of your life has already written victory into your ending, and not even hell itself has the power to erase what God has sealed. So when the enemy whispers lies of abandonment, silence them with this truth. God has never left you, not for a second. When doubt tries to convince you that your prayers don't matter, remind yourself every prayer was stored in heaven. When fear says your future is uncertain, cling to this letter. God has already gone before you and prepared a way. This is not just reassurance, it's God's heartbeat written to yours. It is the Father saying, I see you, I love you, I'm with you, and I'm not done. Every time you return to this letter, let it heal your wounds, calm your anxieties, and reignite your hope. Because the greatest reassurance of all is this: the God who promised to carry you has never dropped you, and He never will. Chapter 5. A call to listen. Child of God, the most important part of this divine letter is not just the words themselves, it is your ability and willingness to truly listen. A letter unread cannot transform you, and a message unheeded remains powerless. Listening is the sacred bridge that connects God's promises to your reality. It is the key that unlocks understanding, the door that leads to revelation, and the posture that attracts His presence. But listening to God requires more than just ears. It requires your heart. It is not about passively hearing words. It is about actively receiving them into your spirit. To listen is to surrender. It is to create sacred space for the voice of heaven to cut through the noise of earth. It is to quiet your own reasoning, silence your own fears, and open yourself to divine instruction. Think of the world around you. It is filled with distractions that constantly compete for your attention. Notifications buzzing, voices of doubt whispering, the opinions of others pressing in, and the enemy planting thoughts of fear, shame, and confusion. The truth is, the enemy cannot silence God's voice, but he can cloud your hearing. He floods your life with noise so that the whisper of God seems distant. That is why discipline is required. That is why stillness matters. To hear God, you must separate yourself from the constant chaos and lean in with expectation. Child of God, when you choose to listen, you do more than just hear. You encounter God's presence. You don't just gain information. you receive transformation. His voice doesn't only answer questions, it shapes your identity, calms your fears, and ignites your faith. His whisper carries the power to heal what years of brokenness created. His words remind you that you are loved, chosen, and secured in Him. But let me tell you something profound. Listening is not passive, it is active. Listening means responding. Listening means moving when He says move. Waiting when He says wait, and obeying even when the instruction doesn't make sense. The Bible reminds us that faith comes by hearing, but the fullness of faith comes by obeying. Hearing without action is like reading a map and never taking the journey. Think back to the moments in your life where you ignored God's voice. Maybe you rushed into a relationship, a decision, or an opportunity only to later realize God had been warning you all along. And then recall the moments where you obeyed, even though it didn't make sense. Perhaps you walked away from something everyone said was good, but God said no, and later you realized He was protecting you. These experiences prove the weight of listening. It is not a luxury, it is a lifeline. Child of God, God's voice is not always dramatic. Sometimes it comes as a whisper, as a conviction, as a gentle pull in your heart. Other times it comes through scripture, through a song, through a word spoken at the right time, or even through silence that draws you closer. You must train your ears to recognize Him. At first it may feel faint, but the more you lean in, the clearer it becomes. The more you honor His whisper, the louder it grows in your spirit. Listening also requires trust, because there will be moments when God speaks things you do not fully understand. He may ask you to forgive someone who hurt you deeply. He may tell you to walk away from something that seems secure. He may call you into a season of waiting when everything in you wants to run ahead. Trusting His voice means believing that He sees what you cannot see, and that His plan is always for your good, even when it feels uncomfortable. And here is the mystery. When you truly listen, you begin to align with heaven's rhythm. You stop chasing what was never meant for you, and you start attracting what has always been assigned to you. You stop fighting battles that are not yours, and you start winning victories designed for your destiny. Listening brings clarity, listening brings peace, listening brings alignment. So pause for a moment, child of God. Imagine the author of this letter leaning close to you right now, whispering words of comfort, direction, and love. He is not distant. He is not silent. He is waiting, not for perfect people, not for flawless faith, but for a willing heart that says, "Speak, Lord, I am listening." Chapter 6. The Transformation Through Hearing. Child of God, when you truly pause and hear the letter God has written into your life, something supernatural happens. This is not just an ordinary shift, it is a divine turning point. His words don't just brush the surface, they cut deep into the very fabric of your soul, rearranging, rebuilding, and renewing everything that was broken or misplaced. When heaven speaks, even the chains in your spirit begin to rattle, and the prisons of your past start to open. Clarity replaces confusion. Suddenly, what once looked like chaos in your life begins to take shape as divine order. The detours you thought were delays start to reveal themselves as training grounds. The moments you thought were wasted become stepping stones. You begin to see that nothing was random. Every heartbreak, every closed door, every sleepless night was leading you closer to the purpose written in God's eternal letter for your life. Courage begins to rise where fear once lived. Fear used to hold you back, whispering lies that you weren't enough, that you didn't have what it takes, that your past disqualified you. But when you hear God's voice, those lies begin to dissolve. His truth becomes louder than your doubt. His promises become stronger than your pain. You begin to walk with a boldness that others can't understand, because you've tapped into the unshakable assurance of the one who holds the universe. Healing flows where wounds once festered. Child of God, there are scars in your soul that people don't even know about. Silent battles, hidden tears, secret fears. But when you listen to God's voice, it's as if His hand gently touches those wounded places and restores them. What years of searching, striving, or therapy couldn't fully do, His whisper accomplishes in a moment. His word is medicine. His presence is balm. His love is the healing that your heart has been crying out for. And let me tell you this, when you begin to hear Him, you don't just see your life differently, you see yourself differently. The enemy has tried to label you with names like unworthy, forgotten, ordinary. But God's letter calls you beloved, chosen, and destined. And when you start believing what He says about you, you begin to move differently. You stop chasing after validation from people who can't even see your worth. You stop settling for crumbs when God has already set a table for you in the presence of your enemies. This transformation also shifts how you deal with people. You no longer get entangled in every distraction or deceived by every smiling face. The same God who speaks into your spirit also sharpens your discernment. He shows you who's truly for you, who's against you, and who's just passing through. His voice gives you the courage to release what no longer serves you and to embrace the relationships, opportunities, and alignments that carry His fingerprint. And child of God, when His word fills you, storms lose their power over you. The wind may blow, the waves may rise, but deep down you know you're anchored. You no longer panic in the storm, because you've already heard the voice of the one who calms it. You no longer fear the future because you've heard the author of time whisper, "I've already gone ahead of you." But here's the key. This transformation isn't complete until you respond. Hearing alone is powerful, but action seals it. Every instruction God whispers is like a seed. If you leave it unattended, it stays dormant. But when you obey, when you step out in faith, when you act on what He says, that seed begins to sprout and produce fruit in your life. Transformation is not just about listening, it's about living what you've heard. Child of God, don't underestimate the power of this moment. Right now, God's letter is unfolding in your spirit. The world may not see it, but heaven does. The enemy senses it too. That's why he's been fighting so hard to distract you. But if you lean in, if you silence the noise, if you make room for His voice, your entire life will be restructured for glory. One word from God can unlock 1,000 breakthroughs. One whisper can close the door on years of struggle. One sentence can rewrite the story of your family, your destiny, and your legacy. Listening to Him is not passive, it's warfare, it's alignment, it's victory. Chapter 7. Your response matters. Child of God, every divine letter from the Father carries both a message and a demand. It is never written for information alone. It is written for transformation. But transformation does not begin simply because you heard the words. Transformation begins when you choose to respond. Think about this for a moment. The entire universe responds to the voice of God. When he said, "Let there be light," light responded. When he told the seas where to stop, the waves responded. When he called stars into the sky, they responded by shining. Creation has no choice but to obey his word, yet he gave you something different. He gave you free will. And that means the response to his voice in your life is your choice. This is where the weight of destiny lies. God has already spoken promises over you. He has already written encouragement, strength, and direction into your story. But your willingness to respond is what unlocks those promises into reality. Without response, a word remains seed. With response, that seed grows into fruit that changes not only your life, but the lives of those connected to you. Do not underestimate the power of your response. A simple yes can shift the course of history. A quiet prayer can release armies of angels. A single act of obedience can break generational cycles and usher blessings into your bloodline. This is why the enemy works overtime to silence your response. He knows that your agreement with God's word is dangerous to his plans. He knows that if you ever say yes fully, the very chains he used to bind you will turn into the ropes that pull others out of darkness. Think of the ones who responded before you. Noah could have ignored the call, but instead he picked up wood and built an ark, and that act preserved humanity. Moses could have turned away, but he responded to the voice from the burning bush, and through him God led a nation to freedom. Mary could have resisted the angel's message, but she responded with humility. "Be it unto me according to your word." And that response birthed the Savior of the world. Their greatness wasn't because they were perfect, it was because they responded. Child of God, you stand at that same threshold now. God has written you a letter. He has whispered to your heart. He has laid out his plans before you. But heaven is waiting to see your response. Will you step forward or will you hesitate? Will you obey or will you delay? Your yes today carries eternal weight. Do not think your response is too small to matter. Every prayer you pray, every act of kindness you show, every decision you make to choose God over temptation, it all matters. Heaven records it. The unseen realm reacts to it. Your response creates ripples that echo into eternity. But hear this warning: ignoring the letter, even unintentionally, causes delay. Delays in blessings, delays in breakthroughs, delays in the unfolding of your destiny. Not because God is unwilling, but because he is waiting for you to align. He will never force his will upon you. He waits for your willingness. And that willingness is what gives heaven permission to move on your behalf. Child of God, this is your moment. Your life has been leading to this crossroad. You can no longer remain silent. The letter is before you, the words are alive, and the promises are calling your name. All of heaven is leaning in, waiting to hear your response. Whisper yes, even if your voice shakes. Declare yes, even if fear is trying to hold you back. Live yes, even if the world doesn't understand. For when you respond, the power of God flows into your life in ways you cannot even imagine. The letter is not just words, it is an invitation into purpose, into promise, into destiny. But an invitation means nothing if you never respond. So will you answer? Will you believe? Will you step into what has been waiting for you all along? The pen is in God's hand. The letter is before you, but the signature, the response, is yours to write.